Welcome back, everybody, to the show. It is a special one today. We have a lot to get into. Some fascinating topics, including what I want to start with, which is you might remember. This is insane. You might remember a little while ago that Trump posted about museums and how they're so negative. The museums throughout Washington, he wrote, but all over the country are essentially the last remaining segment of woke, the Smithsonian's out of control, where everything discussed is how horrible our country is, how bad slavery was, and how unaccomplished the downtrodden have been. So I have an update for you. But before getting to it, I admit I'm naive. I really am. I've now been doing this job where every single day I'm talking about essentially Trump is in the news in some way, and he comes up essentially every day on the show. And still, I said to you, that's a wild statement. What are the museums supposed to do? Tell you about the positive parts of slavery? Or that's it, right? Just I don't. But I always, because I know people who support this guy, and I think, would they think I'm doing him dirty by saying that's what his assertion is, that that slavery wasn't as bad as we talk about? So then I'm giving him all this extra good faith of, well, maybe he's not saying we should remove stuff about slavery, but he's just saying that in a museum there's just not enough positive stuff, not about slavery, but other things contrasted. He did write that it needs to talk more about the powerful, bright future in museums that notoriously talk about not the future. But then my naivete was once again revealed because I had a hard time believing they were going to order the removal of exhibits or images referencing slavery. And that's literally what they're doing. So, as we get through this information, if you are, I'm thinking of Jillian Michaels, I think was really prominently defending Trump on this. And even I was thinking, okay, maybe she's just talking about the exhibit about Cuba doesn't have enough context about the regime and it puts too much emphasis on it. And I'm working overtime to good faithify their argument just to understand, even if I'm still going to disagree, which I do. But now I want to hear those same people circle back because you went, he's not going to rip away the teaching of slavery or the recognition. Look at this. National Park to remove photo of enslaved man's scars. The Trump administration has ordered the removal of signs and exhibits related to slavery at multiple national parks, according to 4 people familiar with the matter, including a historic photograph of a formerly enslaved man showing scars on his back. So always with these, I think, is the right going to go, well, in this exhibit it says all white people suck, so that's why they took it down. You're like, it did? What? But this is literally, we have a specific example. Why on earth would you remove a recognition, a famous historical photo of a slave with the scars on his back from being whipped? The scourged back shows the scarred back of escaped slave Peter Gordon in Louisiana. And it doesn't just say that one, but multiple national parks. The individuals said the removals were in line with President Donald Trump's March executive order directing the Interior Department to eliminate information that reflects a corrosive ideology that disparages historic Americans. Pause. Click the subscribe button. It's very sorry, I just realized when I said pause, I should mention that. If you do appreciate the show, it's really helpful. You just click it. That's all you do have to do. It's free, but it supports us. That sounds historic Americans. Y'all know I try to be real mindful of when I use the words, the scary words, the what do they really mean, words? Because I get that a lot of people aren't coming from that place, and I don't want to believe that about people, but that sounds like when I'm at a cafe and I won't say a state, in a really, really specific place, and I see a Confederate flag and I go, hi, what is this about? And they go, I just think that that there aren't enough historic Americans here anymore, and they're bringing in a lot of new Americans, and we should go back to having only historic Americans. And you're like, yeah, what do you mean? I'm scared. So it's hard not to think about. Well, let's keep reading for a second. National Park Service officials are broadly interpreting that directive to apply to information on racism, sexism, slavery, gay rights, or persecution of indigenous people. Following Trump's order, you have all this stuff happening and removals of different things. So, what is a really quick thought that comes to your mind? I thought they were just telling us that removing statues, removing exhibits, removing honorary imagery, in the case that I'm talking about previously, in reference to like Confederate generals, that was erasing history. That we had to have a big statue of Robert E. Lee where he looks all triumphant, because if we remove it, we still can't learn about him. I never understood the logic. I don't think people should just be going up and ripping statues out of the ground, but if we can have an official process, it makes sense that in town squares you wouldn't want to honor people who fought for the wrong ideas. That's different than not learning about them. But they told us that was cancel culture, and that was erasure of our history. But now he's doing it in a much more clearly outrageous way. And that brings us back to this flashback.
For a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee.
Dear troops in the crowd, thank you genuinely for what you do and your service. P.S. Why'd you clap? P.S.S. P.P.S. P.P.P.P.S.S. Why did you cheer so loudly? Sincerely, me. He said we're naming back a fort to Fort Robert E. Lee. Let's just focus on that by itself. Okay. Robert E. Lee. There are people, real people, apparently some people in that crowd, who think to themselves, I miss the America when we could honor Robert E. Lee. When our military would Luke, who's Robert E. Lee? Robert E. Lee was the general who led the Confederacy. Now, a couple thoughts. That's insane. Number one. Thought two. So they're arguing something, surely. That it's not about honoring him, it's about honoring our history. Well, let's teach about him, but naming things after people, especially going back and changing a name back to something, that is honorary. That's just what that is. If I said our office is officially Hitler's workplace, and you said, well, that's weird. And I said, no, I just never want to forget what Hitler did. You would be confused, right? So in this case, Robert E. Lee fighting on behalf of the traitorous rebellion that was so adamant about keeping slavery that they fought against their own country people. And the response will be, no, it's states' rights. States' rights to do what? Slavery. So they're going to say, oh, you want to rewrite history by not naming schools and forts after Robert E. Lee? No. You're the one rewriting history by honoring figures like that. So jumping back in here, also, I don't want to hear out of anyone's mouth in defense of the Confederacy states' rights ever again after what Trump's doing. Trump literally had a quote. I wish I had thought of this point before because I would have played the clip for you. I'm sure going to botch it. But it was something like he got asked about states' rights. And he was like, well, they're just an agent of the federal government. So who cares? As he's wanting to send in the U.S. military to states. If Obama sent in the military to red areas with really high crime and said, sorry, got to do a federal takeover, we would have the no tread on me. You'd have like old cannons being rolled out for some reason, like from the Alamo Museum would be rolled out to the streets, and they'd say, if Obama wants to come here, they can come in. He can come in me, come through me. Come what? They'd be saying that all day. And now Trump does it, and states' rights, zip, gone. So if you don't want to defend states' rights when it comes to Trump's overreach on that issue and much more, then why on earth would you defend it in slavery, about slavery? But we can't not have named schools and have statues and forts after Robert E. Lee, because if we remove his name, we're erasing history. But literally taking down a photo or a portrait or a including historic photo. Yeah, photo. Literally removing that, taking it down, along with others at national parks. That's not erasing history. Gosh, it's upsetting. I'm upset. Do you see I'm upset? I'm upset. Going back to the same flashback. Robert Lee, that wasn't in that clip, but in a different one during that same rant, he goes, Robert E. Lee, no longer in favor. Have you noticed that? But here's what I'm contemplating, okay? Cancel culture. That's what really Trump's going after, okay? So let me make the argument. Cancel culture has gotten so out of hand that people don't feel like they can say anything, okay? You want to make a good joke about a gay, just can't anymore. It's like, what happened to gay jokes?
We keep our country gay.
And it's like, you say one thing racially and everyone's off your ass. A teacher makes one mistake and now they're fired, right? So we go, okay. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, okay, maybe cancel culture went a little much. We went got a little crazy. Court of public opinion about everything. All right. And it's just, we started canceling everybody. A random professor who slipped up. And you say, yeah, okay, that's not, maybe they shouldn't lose their whole job for that. Somebody who said something inappropriate 20 years ago. Why do we cancel them? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Why do we cancel? All right, sure. No, I got you. No, maybe we're not so divided. And Robert E. Lee, obviously, we canceled him. That was crazy. That's where these conversations go. You're like, okay, all right, yeah. No, cancel culture. It's gone a little crazy. All right. So, like, who are we thinking of in particular? And they start listing people, and then they get to Robert E. Lee. Wait, what? No, cancel that bitch, please. Right. So we're not allowed to cancel Robert E. Lee, but we're allowed to cancel, literally, not even figuratively, literally, a photograph of a slave portraying the horrors of slavery. A triumphant statue of Robert E. Lee sends the message that we don't support him. Like he had good kids. That's the message that sends. And it doesn't actually further your understanding of history, but it does send you a message. Whereas the exhibits and photographs and imagery of slaves or discussing slavery, it doesn't send you the message that you hate white people. And if that's the weird part. Just let's just hold on a second on that point. A lot of the right, I get that some people on the left went too far in their articulations of it, but like definitely a lot of people on the right will take the teachings of bad things that previous Americans did who were white as meaning that like white is bad, and it's just, why are you feeling like you're so much on the same team with them? I don't feel that. I'm like, they were bad. It's just they'll connect it in your head like that. It's weird. Just think what it should inspire you to do is want to, obviously, the never repeat point, and just let's keep figuring out how we better our society. And the betterment we've already done is a reason to be patriotic. I also saw this. Trump administration unveils changes to U.S. citizenship test. We don't even have to read. I don't even care. I'm sure, but I'm just imagining it being like, who is the best CrossFitter ever? Correct answer, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Are Trump's ankles normally sized or strangely sized? Correct answer, normally sized. Yikes.